When Emma Castellanos' dying father handed her a wooden box and whispered, "Ayrton Senna's crash wasn't an accident," she thought grief was making him say crazy things. But inside that box were photos, bank records, and recordings that proved the most beloved driver in Formula One history was murdered. And her father helped cover it up. What Emma discovered next would destroy everything she believed about racing, reveal a criminal conspiracy reaching the highest levels of power, and put her own life in deadly danger. Because the same people who killed Senna 30 years ago are still controlling Formula One today, and they'll do anything to keep their secret buried. This is the true story of how one woman's search for answers exposed the biggest scandal in sports history and changed Formula One forever. Emma Castellano sat at her small kitchen table in Nice, France, staring at the old racing photo. Her father, Marco Castellano, stood on the podium at the 1994 Brazilian Grand Prix. He held the Formula One World Championship trophy high above his head. The crowd cheered. Camera flashes lit up his face. But now, looking at that same photo, something felt wrong. Her father's smile looked fake. His eyes looked scared. Emma had studied this photo 1,000 times growing up. As a little girl, she thought her daddy was the bravest man in the world. He raced cars faster than anyone else. He won the biggest prize in racing. Now she was 35 years old. Her father had been sick for 2 years. The doctors said cancer was eating his body from the inside. The phone rang. Emma jumped. She wasn't expecting any calls this early in the morning. "Hello," she answered. "Miss Castellano? This is Nurse Patricia from Monaco General Hospital. Your father is asking for you. He says it's very important." Emma's heart started beating fast. "Is he okay? Is he—" "He's still alive, but he's very weak. He keeps saying he needs to tell you something before it's too late. Can you come now?" Emma grabbed her car keys. "I'll be there in an hour." The drive from Nice to Monaco usually took 45 minutes. But today, heavy rain made the mountain roads dangerous. Emma drove as fast as she could while staying safe. She kept thinking about her father. Marco Castellano had been the greatest Formula One driver of his time. He won 15 races. He beat legends like Michael Schumacher and Damon Hill. But he always seemed sad about his championship year. Every time someone asked him about 1994, he would change the subject. Emma thought it was because that was the year Ayrton Senna died. Everyone knew about Senna's crash at Imola. The Brazilian driver was the most famous racer in the world. He died when his car hit the wall at 190 miles per hour. It was the darkest day in Formula One history. Emma's father won the championship that year only because Senna died. Marco always said he wished he could have beaten Senna in a fair fight. At the hospital, Emma rushed to her father's room. Marco lay in bed with tubes helping him breathe. His once strong hands looked like paper. His face was gray and thin. "Emma," he whispered when he saw her. "You came." "Of course I came, Papa. What did you want to tell me?" Marco looked around the room to make sure they were alone. Then he reached under his pillow and pulled out a small wooden box. "Emma, I need to tell you about Imola, about what really happened to Ayrton." Emma felt cold suddenly. "What do you mean? Ayrton died in a crash. Everyone knows that." Her father's eyes filled with tears. "The crash wasn't an accident, Emma. Someone wanted Ayrton dead, and I helped them cover it up." Emma couldn't breathe. "Papa, what are you saying? That's impossible." "There's proof in this box. Letters, photos, bank, records, things I've kept hidden for 30 years. But Emma, you have to be very careful. The people who did this are still alive. They still have power. They'll hurt you if they know you have this." Emma took the wooden box with shaking hands. It felt heavy, like it was full of rocks. "Why are you telling me this now?" Marco struggled to sit up. "Because I'm dying, and because you deserve to know the truth about your father. I'm not the hero you think I am. You're my papa. You'll always be my hero." "No, Emma. What I did, it was evil. I took money to stay quiet about murder. Everything we have, this hospital room, your education, your apartment, it's all paid for with blood money." Emma wanted to drop the box and run away. She didn't want to hear these terrible things about her father. Ayrton was going to expose cheating in Formula One, Marco continued. He found out some teams were using illegal parts to make their cars faster. The people making money from this cheating decided Ayrton had to die. "But why did you help them?" Marco closed his eyes. "Your mother was sick. We needed money for her treatment. They promised me the championship and enough money to save her. But she died anyway, and I was trapped." Emma remembered her mother's long battle with cancer. She died when Emma was only 8 years old. Her father quit racing soon after to take care of Emma. "They made me sign papers saying I would never tell anyone what really happened. If I talked, they would kill both of us, so I stayed quiet for 30 years. Marco grabbed Emma's hand with his weak fingers. "But I can't die carrying this secret. Ayrton was a good man. He deserved better. His fans deserve to know the truth. What do you want me to do with this box?" "I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. But now you have the choice I never had. You can decide if the world should know what really happened at Imola." Marco's breathing became harder. The machines around his bed started beeping faster. "Emma, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I loved you and your mother more than anything. But what I did to protect you was wrong. Papa, don't leave me. I need you to explain everything." But Marco Castellano closed his eyes and took his last breath. The man who had hidden the biggest secret in Formula One history was gone. Emma sat alone in the hospital room, holding the wooden box. She didn't know that opening it would change her life forever. She didn't know that powerful people would try to kill her to keep their secrets safe. All she knew was that her father, her hero, had helped cover up the murder of the greatest racing driver who ever lived. And now, it was up to her to decide what to do about it. Outside the hospital window, the rain kept falling. Emma looked at the box in her hands and made a decision that would put her life in danger. She was going to open it, but not here. Not in the hospital where nurses and doctors walked by every few minutes. Emma kissed her father's cold forehead one last time and left the room. The drive back to her apartment in Nice felt like a nightmare. Every time lightning flashed, Emma saw her father's scared face in her mind. Every time thunder rolled, she heard his words. Someone wanted Ayrton dead. Back in her small apartment, Emma sat on her couch and placed the wooden box on her coffee table. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Part of her wanted to throw the box away and pretend this conversation never happened, but she had to know the truth. Emma opened the box slowly. Inside, she found things that made her feel sick to her stomach. The first thing was a stack of photographs. They showed her father meeting with men in expensive suits. The meetings happened in dark parking garages and empty restaurants. Some faces she recognized from old Formula One magazines. Team owners and racing officials from the 1990s. One photo showed her father shaking hands with a man next to a briefcase full of money. Another showed him signing papers, while two large men stood behind him like guards. Emma's hands shook as she looked through bank statements. Large amounts of money had been put into her father's account just days after Senna's death. One deposit was for $2 million. Another was for $500,000. But the most shocking thing was a letter written in her father's own handwriting. Emma recognized his messy writing from birthday cards and school notes. The letter said, "I know what we did was wrong." The steering column was made weak before the race. Ayrton was getting too close to finding out about the tire scandal. He had to be stopped. "I'm sorry for my part in this terrible thing, but they promised me the championship and enough money to take care of Emma's future after her mother dies. I pray God will forgive me someday." Emma dropped the letter like it was on fire. Her father didn't just help cover up murder, he helped plan it. She found more papers about illegal tire compounds that some teams were using in 1994. These special tires made cars go much faster than normal, but they were against the rules. Senna had been asking questions about why some cars were suddenly much faster than others. There was also a small tape recorder, the old kind people used before phones could record things. Emma pressed play with trembling fingers. Her father's voice came out of the tiny speaker. "Senna's car will have problems at turn 7. Make sure the television cameras don't catch the steering wheel braking before the crash happens." Another voice answered, but it was harder to hear. The man sounded older and spoke with a French accent. "Don't worry, Marco. Our people control the camera angles. It will look like a normal racing accident." Emma thought the second voice sounded familiar. She had heard it on television during Formula One races. It might have been Jean-Marie Balestre, the man who controlled Formula One racing in the 1990s. The recording continued. "What about the other drivers? What if they ask questions?" "They won't," the French voice said. "Everyone knows racing is dangerous. Sometimes good drivers die. That's just how the sport works." Emma's father's voice sounded scared. "And you promise Ayrton won't suffer? It will be quick?" "Very quick. He won't feel anything." Emma threw the tape recorder across the room. She ran to her bathroom and threw up. The man she had loved her whole life had helped murder the greatest racing driver in history. But there was more in the box. Emma found letters between her father and other people involved in the conspiracy. They talked about meetings, payments, and threats. One letter warned her father, "If you ever tell anyone about what happened at Imola, we will hurt your daughter. We know where she goes to school. We know her friends. Keep your mouth shut and she stays safe." Emma realized her comfortable life had been built on Ayrton Senna's death. Her expensive private school, her university education, even her apartment. It was all paid for with blood money. She also found a list of other racing drivers who had died in accidents over the years. Next to some names, someone had written, "Too curious," or "asking questions." Emma began to understand that Senna wasn't the only driver murdered by this group. Anyone who threatened to expose their cheating was killed and made to look like an accident. The last thing in the box was a modern cell phone. Emma turned it on and found only one contact: emergency help. There was also a note in her father's handwriting. "Emma, if you decide to tell the truth, call this number. This person will help you stay safe. But remember, once you start down this path, there's no going back. They will try to kill you, just like they killed Ayrton." Emma sat in her dark apartment, surrounded by 30 years of secrets. Rain still fell outside her window. She thought about all the Formula One races she had watched as a child, cheering for drivers who didn't know their sport was controlled by killers. She thought about Ayrton Senna's millions of fans around the world. They still believed their hero died because racing was dangerous, not because someone murdered him. Emma picked up her father's old racing photo again. Now she understood why his smile looked fake. He had been living with terrible guilt for 30 years. But Emma also felt angry. Her father had a choice in 1994. He could have said no to the money and warned Senna about the danger. Instead, he chose to protect his family and let an innocent man die. Emma made a decision that would change her life forever. She was going to tell the world what really happened at Imola. She owed it to Senna's memory and to every racing fan who deserved to know the truth. But first, she needed help. Emma picked up the special phone and dialed the only number saved in it. A woman's voice answered after 2 rings. "I've been waiting for this call for 30 years. Are you ready to bring down the people who killed Ayrton Senna?" Emma took a deep breath. "Yes, but I'm scared." "You should be scared. These people have killed many others to protect their secret. But your father left you everything we need to expose them. Are you brave enough to finish what he started?" Emma looked at the evidence scattered around her apartment. Photos, letters, recordings, and bank statements that proved the biggest conspiracy in sports history. "I'm ready," she said. "Tell me what to do." The woman on the phone spoke in a calm, quiet voice. "My name is Dr. Sarah Chen. I was a safety engineer for Formula One in 1994. I knew your father was in trouble, but I couldn't save him. Maybe I can help save you." Emma felt a tiny bit of hope. "You knew my papa?" "Yes. Marco was a good man trapped by bad people. He tried to back out of their plan, but they threatened to hurt you and your mother. He felt he had no choice." Dr. Chen's told Emma to meet her tomorrow at a small cafe in Monaco. "But first, you need to be very careful. Don't go home tonight. These people have been watching your father for months. They might be watching you too." Emma's blood felt cold. "You think they know he told me?" "I'm sure they know. Pack 1 small bag and find a hotel. Use cash, not your credit card. Don't tell anyone where you're going." Emma looked around her apartment. It felt like home just an hour ago. Now it felt like a trap. She quickly packed clothes, grabbed her passport, and took all the evidence from the wooden box. As she was leaving, Emma heard a car door slam outside her building. Emma peeked through her window. 2 men in dark suits stood next to a black Mercedes. They were looking up at her apartment building. Emma's heart pounded. Dr. Chen was right. They were already watching her. Emma used the back stairs to leave her building. She walked 6 blocks before finding a taxi. "Take me to the train station," she told the driver. On the train to Monaco, Emma tried to understand everything that had happened. This morning, she thought her father was a racing hero. Now she knew he was part of a murder conspiracy, but she also understood why he did it. When someone threatens to hurt your family, you might do terrible things to protect them. The next morning, Emma met Dr. Chen at Café Luna, a tiny restaurant near Monaco's harbor. Dr. Chen was a small Asian woman in her 60s, with kind eyes and gray hair. "Emma, I'm sorry about your father. He suffered every day because of what he did." Emma showed Dr. Chen some of the evidence from the box. Dr. Chen studied the photos and letters carefully. "This is even worse than I thought," Dr. Chen said. "Your father collected proof of everything. These documents could destroy the people who killed Senna." Dr. Chen explained that she had been trying to expose the conspiracy for 30 years. "I knew something was wrong with Senna's car that weekend, but I couldn't prove it. Your father's evidence is the missing piece." Emma learned that Dr. Chen had her own story. In 1994, she worked for the racing organization that checked cars for safety problems. Before the Imola race, someone ordered her to skip the detailed safety check on Senna's car. "I was told Senna's team had already checked everything." But teams never do their own safety inspections. That's our job. Dr. Chen tried to do the safety check anyway, but she was locked out of the garage where Senna's car was kept. I knew something bad was going to happen, but I didn't know what. After Senna died, Dr. Chen tried to tell investigators about the skipped safety check. But her boss fired her and told her to keep quiet or face serious consequences. I've spent 30 years collecting small pieces of evidence, Dr. Chen said, but I never had proof of who ordered Senna's murder or why they did it. Your father's box has that proof. Emma asked Dr. Chen to explain the tire scandal that got Senna killed. Some teams were using special tire compounds that weren't legal, Dr. Chen explained. These tires made cars go much faster, but they were very dangerous. Only a few teams had access to them. Senna had noticed that certain cars were suddenly much faster than they should be. He started asking questions and demanding to see technical reports about tire testing. Senna was close to proving that several teams were cheating. If he exposed them, those teams would lose their championships and millions of dollars in prize money. But the tire scandal was connected to something much bigger. The special tires were being made by a company owned by organized crime families. Formula One was being used to wash dirty money from illegal businesses. Senna wasn't just threatening to expose cheating, Dr. Chen said. He was threatening to expose criminal organizations that used racing to hide their illegal activities. Emma began to understand why her father's evidence was so dangerous. It didn't just prove that Senna was murdered. It proved that Formula One was controlled by criminals. Dr. Chen warned Emma that exposing this conspiracy would be extremely dangerous. The same people who killed Senna are still alive. They still have power and money. They won't hesitate to kill you too. But Dr. Chen also gave Emma hope. Things are different now than in 1994. We have the internet, social media, and better law enforcement. If we're smart about how we release this evidence, we can expose them before they can stop us. As they finished their coffee, Dr. Chen noticed something that made her worried. Emma, don't look now, but there's a man at the table behind you, taking pictures of us with his phone. Emma's hands started shaking again. What should we do? Act normal. Finish your coffee. In 2 minutes, I'll go to the bathroom. You count to 30, then follow me. There's a back exit. Dr. Chen stood up calmly and walked toward the bathroom. Emma counted to 30, trying to look relaxed while her heart beat like a drum. When Emma reached the bathroom, Dr. Chen was waiting by a small window. We have to go now. My car is in the alley behind this building. They climbed through the window and ran to Dr. Chen's car. As they drove away, Emma saw the man from the cafe talking on his phone and looking angry. They know we're working together now, Dr. Chen said. We need to move faster than planned. Emma realized her investigation had already attracted the wrong kind of attention. The people who killed Senna 30 years ago knew she was coming for them, but Emma wasn't going to stop. She owed it to her father's memory and to Senna's millions of fans around the world. What's our next step? Emma asked. Dr. Chen smiled grimly. We need to talk to someone who was actually there when Senna died. Someone who saw things that never made it into the official reports. Emma gripped the wooden box tighter. She was about to learn even darker secrets about the most famous death in racing history. And the people who caused that death were already trying to stop her from revealing the truth. Dr. Chen drove fast through the winding mountain roads between Monaco and Italy. Emma held tight to the car door as they took sharp turns at dangerous speeds. Where are we going? Emma asked. To see Luigi Martinelli. He was a photographer at the Imola race in 1994. Luigi took pictures that day that were never shown to the public. Emma felt scared and excited at the same time. Why didn't he show the pictures before? Because strange men came to his studio after Senna died. They told him to give them all his film from that weekend. Luigi was smart. He gave them most of his pictures, but he hid the most important ones. They drove for 2 hours before reaching Bologna, a beautiful old city in northern Italy. Luigi lived in a small house on a quiet street lined with olive trees. Luigi Martinelli was 78 years old, with white hair and hands that shook slightly from age. But his eyes were still bright and sharp. His house was filled with racing photographs covering every wall. "Ah, Dr. Chen," Luigi said in English, with a thick Italian accent. "You finally brought someone to see my secret pictures?" Emma introduced herself and explained why she was there. Luigi's face became very serious when she mentioned her father's name. Marco Castellano. "Yes, I remember him well. He looked very scared that weekend at Imola. Not scared of racing. All drivers are a little scared of racing. He was scared of people." Luigi led them into his basement, which had been turned into a dark room for developing photographs. Boxes of pictures covered every shelf. "I was there when they pulled Senna from his car," Luigi said sadly. "But what I remember most is what happened before the crash." Luigi opened a special box and pulled out strips of photographs, the kind that show many small pictures in a row. Most showed normal racing action, but one strip made Emma's stomach feel sick. The pictures showed men working on Senna's car in the garage, but these weren't Senna's regular mechanics. Emma could see their faces clearly in Luigi's photos. "I took these pictures early Sunday morning before the race started," Luigi explained. "Something seemed wrong, so I kept taking pictures." In the photos, Emma could see a man doing something to the bottom of Senna's car. The man's face was turned toward the camera. Emma recognized him from her father's documents. Antonio Grimaldi, who worked for the racing organization in the 1990s. This man had no reason to be working on Senna's car, Luigi said. Only Senna's own mechanics were allowed to touch his car. Before a race, Luigi showed them more pictures. In one, Grimaldi was holding a small metal tool. In another, he was looking around nervously to make sure no one was watching him. "What was he doing to the car?" Emma asked. Luigi pointed to a part under the car called the steering column. "I think he was making it weak, so it would break during the race." Emma felt sick. The pictures proved that someone had sabotaged Senna's car just hours before the ETE race. But Luigi had even more shocking information. "I also took pictures of strange things happening in the medical center." Luigi showed them photos of doctors and medical equipment being set up before the race started. "Look at the timestamp on these pictures, 9:30 in the morning. The race didn't start until 2 in the afternoon. Emma didn't understand why this was important. Dr. Chen explained, "Medical teams always prepare for possible accidents during races, but they don't usually set up special equipment for head injuries unless they know something bad is going to happen." Luigi nodded. The doctors had brain surgery equipment ready. They had special tools for removing pieces of metal from someone's head. Why would they need those things unless they knew a driver was going to hit the wall very hard? Emma realized the conspiracy was even bigger than she thought. Not only did they sabotage Senna's car, but they told the medical team to prepare for his specific type of injuries. "Did you try to tell anyone about this?" Emma asked Luigi. Luigi's face became angry. "Of course I tried. 3 days after Senna died, I called the police. I wanted to show them my pictures. But before Luigi could meet with police, men in expensive suits came to his photography studio. They said they were from the racing organization. They told me to give them all my film from Imola weekend. They said it was for the official investigation. Luigi was smart enough to hide his most important pictures, but he gave the men most of his film to avoid trouble. Then they told me something that scared me very much. They said if I ever talked about what I saw that weekend, bad things would happen to my family. Luigi's voice became quiet and sad. I had 3 young grandchildren at that time. I couldn't risk their safety for racing pictures. But Luigi never forgot what he saw. For 30 years, he kept the hidden pictures and waited for someone brave, enough to use them. Dr. Chen contacted me 5 years ago, Luigi explained. She told me that someday, someone would come looking for the truth about Senna's death. I've been waiting for you, Emma. Luigi gave Emma copies of all his secret photographs. I'm old now, he said. If something happens to me, at least the truth will be somewhere safe. As they prepared to leave Luigi's house, Emma noticed a black car parked across the street. The same type of car she had seen outside her apartment. Dr. Chen, Emma whispered. I think we're being watched again. Dr. Chen looked out the window and her face became worried. We need to leave through the back door. Now. They thanked Luigi quickly and escaped through his garden. Dr. Chen's car was parked 2 streets away, hidden behind an old church. As they drove away, Emma's phone rang. She didn't recognize the number, but she answered anyway. A man's voice spoke in English with no accent. Miss Castellano, you're making some very dangerous people angry. Stop looking into the past, or you'll join your father sooner than you expected. The phone went dead. Emma's hands were shaking so hard she almost dropped it. They know we talked to Luigi, Emma said. They know exactly where we've been. Dr. Chen drove faster. Emma, we need help. This is bigger than just the 2 of us can handle. Emma realized they needed someone who understood how to fight powerful, dangerous people, someone who knew how to expose corruption without getting killed. I know someone, Dr. Chen said, a journalist who specializes in motorsports corruption. She's helped put criminals in prison before. Emma felt a tiny bit of hope. Do you think she'll help us? If we can convince her our evidence is real, yes. But first, we need to prove that the conspiracy is still active today. We need to show that the same people who killed Senna are still controlling Formula One. Emma looked at Luigi's photographs. They proved Senna was murdered 30 years ago. But were the killers still out there? Still powerful? Still dangerous? Emma was about to find out that the conspiracy was much bigger and more current than she ever imagined. Dr. Chen drove them to Milan, where they met the journalist at a small hotel near the train station. Maria Rodriguez was a woman in her 40s, with short black hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. She had written books about corruption in sports and helped send 3 team owners to prison for taking bribes. Emma, what you're telling me could destroy Formula One, Maria said after looking at the photographs and documents. But I need more than photos and old letters. Courts need official documents from racing organizations. Emma's heart sank. You don't believe us? I believe you. But proving murder in court is very difficult. These photos show someone working on Senna's car, but a defense lawyer could say he was just fixing something. We need documents that prove the racing organization knew about the sabotage. Dr. Chen had an idea that scared Emma. The FIA headquarters in Paris has archives going back to 1950. All the official investigation files from Senna's crash are stored there. Maria's eyes lit up. If we could get those files, especially the ones that were never made public, we might have enough proof. Emma felt cold. You want us to break into the FIA building? Not break in exactly, Maria said. I have a contact who works security there. He can get us inside after business hours, but we'd only have 30 minutes before the next security check. Emma couldn't believe what she was hearing. That's illegal. We could go to prison. Dr. Chen put her hand on Emma's shoulder. Emma, these people killed your father with poison to keep him quiet. They murdered Senna 30 years ago. Breaking a few rules to expose them isn't wrong. It's justice. Emma thought about her father's last words and Senna's millions of fans who still didn't know the truth. Okay, let's do it. The next evening, they took a train to Paris. Maria's security contact met them at a cafe near the FIA building. His name was Philippe, and he looked nervous. I can disable the alarms on the archive floor for exactly 30 minutes, Philippe told them. But if you're caught, I don't know you. And if anyone asks, you were never here. At 11:30 p.m., Philippe led them into the FIA headquarters through a service entrance. The building felt huge and empty in the darkness. Their footsteps echoed as they walked down long hallways lined with racing trophies and photographs. Emma's heart pounded as they took the elevator to the 7th floor where the archives were kept. Philippe used his security card to unlock the heavy metal door. 30 minutes, he whispered. Not 1 second longer. The archive room was enormous. Thousands of boxes filled with documents from Formula One's entire history. Each box was labeled with years and race names. Emma and Maria searched frantically for boxes labeled 1994 San Marino Grand Prix and Imola investigation files. Dr. Chen kept watch at the door with a small flashlight. Finally, Emma found what they were looking for, 3 boxes marked San Marino GP 1994. Confidential investigation. Inside the first box were police reports, witness statements, and technical analyses of Senna's crashed car. Most of these documents had been made public after the crash, but the second box contained files marked classified, not for public release. Emma's hands shook as she opened these folders. One report made her feel sick. It was written by a metal expert who examined pieces of Senna's steering column after the crash. The report said, "The steering column shows clear evidence of intentional weakening. The metal was treated with acid to make it brittle. This was not normal wear and tear or accident damage. But this report had been buried. It was never given to prosecutors or Senna's family." The third box was even more shocking. It contained meeting notes from FIA officials taken just 3 days after Senna's death. Emma read one document that made her hands shake. Meeting minutes. May 4th, 1994, Present, J.M. Balestre, President, A. Grimaldi, Technical, M. Weber, Security. Topic: Managing public narrative regarding A. Senna. Incident decisions. Blame driver error and mechanical failure. Suppress all evidence of sabotage. Ensure. Witnesses remain silent. Compensate M. Castellano for cooperation. Emma found her father's name in several other documents. The racing organization had paid him $2 million to stay quiet about what he knew. They also threatened to hurt Emma and her mother if he ever talked. Dr. Chen rushed over to them. "We have 10 minutes left. Take pictures of everything important." Emma used her phone to photograph every page that mentioned sabotage, cover-ups, or her father's name. There were dozens of documents proving the racing organization knew Senna was murdered, but chose to hide the truth. One document was a list of potential problems, drivers and mechanics who were asking too many questions about Senna's crash. Next to some names, someone had written handled or eliminated. Emma realized this list was a hit list. People who got too close to the truth were killed and made to look like accidents. With 5 minutes left, they found the most important document of all. It was a letter from the head of the FIA to someone named Mr. X. The letter said, The Senna situation has been resolved. Our organization can continue operating without interference. Future drivers who threaten our business will be handled the same way. Emma photographed this letter with shaking hands. It proved the racing organization was controlled by criminals who would kill anyone who threatened their power. As they prepared to leave, they heard footsteps in the hallway outside. Someone was coming. Emma and Maria quickly closed all the boxes and tried to make everything look normal. Dr. Chen turned off her flashlight, and they all hid behind tall filing cabinets. The archive room door opened, and bright flashlight beams swept across the room. Two security guards were making their rounds early. "Did you hear something up here?" one guard asked the other. "Probably just the building settling. These old places make noise at night." The guards walked through the room, their flashlights coming dangerously close to where Emma was hiding. She held her breath and tried not to move. After what felt like forever, the guards left and locked the door behind them. "That was too close," Maria whispered. They waited 5 more minutes. Then Philippe came to get them. They escaped through the same service entrance they had used to enter. Back at their hotel, Emma and Maria reviewed all the photographs they had taken. They now had official documents proving Senna was murdered and that the racing organization covered it up. "This is enough evidence to reopen the investigation," Maria said excitedly. "We can prove murder and conspiracy." But Dr. Chen looked worried. "Emma, publishing this story will destroy more than just the people who killed Senna. It will show that Formula One has been controlled by criminals for 30 years. Emma thought about all the drivers, teams, and fans who would be affected. "Do you think current Formula One is still controlled by the same people?" Maria nodded grimly. "Some of the names in these documents are still powerful in racing today. This conspiracy didn't end in 1994, it's been continuing for 30 years. Emma realized her investigation had uncovered something much bigger than just Senna's murder. She had found proof that modern Formula One was still being controlled by the same criminal organization. "What do we do now?" Emma asked. Maria smiled. "Now we expose them all. But first, we need to make sure we stay alive long enough to tell the story." Emma looked at the evidence on her phone, photographs that could change Formula One forever. But she also knew that the people in those documents would do anything to stop her from sharing them with the world. The next morning, Emma woke up in her Paris hotel room to find 20 missed calls on her phone, all from the same unknown number. When her phone rang again, Emma answered nervously. "Miss Castellano, this is Jean-Pierre Moreau, current president of the FIA. We need to meet immediately. There are things about your father's documents that you don't understand." Emma's blood felt cold. Jean-Pierre Moreau was one of the most powerful men in motorsports. He had controlled Formula One for the past 10 years. "How did you get my number?" Emma asked. "Miss Castellano, I know exactly where you've been and what you've been doing. I also know you broke into our building last night." Emma's heart stopped. They knew about the break-in. "Meet me at the Hotel George V in 1 hour, Moreau continued. "Come alone, or your friends Dr. Chen and Miss Rodriguez will face serious legal problems." The phone went dead. Emma rushed to find Maria and Dr. Chen. They were eating breakfast in the hotel restaurant, but they looked worried. "Emma, we need to leave Paris immediately," Dr. Chen said. "Something feels wrong." Emma told them about Moreau's phone call. Maria's face went white. "Jean-Pierre Moreau? Emma, you can't meet with him alone. He's one of the most dangerous men in racing." But Emma knew she had no choice. If she didn't meet Moreau, he might hurt her friends or have them arrested for breaking into the FIA building. Dr. Chen insisted on following Emma to the hotel, but staying far enough away to avoid being seen. The Hotel George V was the most expensive. Hotel in Paris. Rich businessmen and government officials stayed there when they visited France. Emma felt out of place in her simple clothes. Moreau had reserved a private dining room on the top floor. When Emma walked in, she saw a well-dressed man in his 60s with cold gray eyes and silver hair. Two large men in dark suits stood by the windows like guards. "Miss Castellano, please sit down," Moreau said in perfect English with a slight French accent. Emma sat across from Moreau at a table set for an expensive lunch, but she was too scared to eat anything. "You've been asking very dangerous questions," Moreau began calmly. "Your father was a good man who made some bad choices, but you're about to make much worse ones." Moreau slid a thick envelope across the table. "There's 2 million euros in here. Take it, destroy your father's documents, and live a comfortable life. Keep investigating, and you'll end up like Ayrton Senna." Emma's hands shook with anger, not fear. "Are you threatening to kill me?" Moreau's expression didn't change. "I'm offering you the same choice we gave your father. Money and safety, or curiosity and death." Emma realized her phone was recording their conversation. She had started recording when Moreau called her that morning. "So, you admit you threatened my father?" Moreau laughed coldly. "Your father knew too much about business arrangements that were none of his concern. Senna was the same way, too curious for his own good." Emma couldn't believe Moreau was admitting to murder so casually. "Why did you kill Senna? Just because he was investigating tire cheating?" "Senna discovered much. More than tire problems," Moreau said. "He found out that certain teams were using illegal chemical compounds to make their cars faster. But more importantly, he learned where the money for these chemicals was coming from." Emma listened carefully as Moreau explained the real conspiracy. Formula One in the 1990s was the perfect business for people who needed to clean dirty money. We could move millions of dollars through team sponsorships, car development, and race betting without governments asking questions. Emma began to understand that the tire scandal was just a small part of a much bigger criminal operation. "Your father didn't want to be involved," Moreau continued, "but we offered him something he couldn't refuse. Championship victory and enough. Money to pay for your mother's cancer treatment and your future education." Emma's heart broke thinking about her mother. "My mother died anyway." "Yes, but your father had already signed contracts with us. Once you work for our organization, you work for us forever." Moreau showed Emma photographs of her father meeting with men she now recognized as criminals. "If you publish your investigation, these photos will be released too. Your father will be remembered as a criminal who helped kill Senna, not as a racing champion." Emma realized this was why her father waited until he was dying to tell her the truth. He knew exposing the conspiracy would destroy his reputation forever. But then Moreau made a mistake. He got too confident and revealed information Emma didn't know. The same organization that controlled Formula One in the 1990s still controls it today. We decide which drivers win championships, which teams get the best equipment, and who makes money from the sport. Emma's eyes widened. "You mean current races are fixed?" Moreau smiled proudly. "Some races are more competitive than others, but we always make sure the right person wins when it matters for our business interests." Emma thought about recent championships won by Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and other current drivers. Are their victories real? The drivers are genuinely talented, but talent alone doesn't win championships. We control car performance, race strategies, and sometimes even safety decisions to ensure our preferred outcomes. Emma realized that everything Formula One fans believed about fair competition was a lie. What about safety? Do you still kill? Drivers who ask too many questions, Moreau's expression became darker. Modern drivers are easier to control than drivers from Senna's generation. We offer them more money and better contracts than they could get anywhere else. Most cooperate willingly. And the ones who don't cooperate? They have accidents. Sometimes during races, sometimes in their personal lives. The methods have become more sophisticated since 1994. Emma felt sick thinking about how many current drivers might be living in fear. "I'll take your money and destroy the documents," Emma lied, "but I want proof that modern racing is fair and honest." Moreau relaxed, thinking he had won. "Smart choice. Tomorrow night is qualifying for the Monaco Grand Prix. Come as my guest, and I'll show you exactly how we control modern Formula One racing." Emma agreed to meet Moreau at the Monaco race, but she was already planning to use the meeting to gather more evidence. "One more question," Emma said. "Who actually gave the order to kill Senna? Who was really in charge in 1994? Moreau hesitated, for the first time during their conversation. "That information is above your security level, Miss Castellano. Some secrets are too dangerous, even for people who work with us." Emma left the hotel with new determination. She wasn't just fighting for Senna's memory anymore. She was fighting to save current Formula One drivers and expose ongoing criminal control of the sport. But she also knew that tomorrow night in Monaco might be her last chance to gather evidence. If Moreau realized she was still investigating, he would make sure she disappeared just like Senna did 30 years ago. Emma called Dr. Chen and Maria from a secure phone. "I have a plan to expose everything, but it's going to be very dangerous." They met at a small cafe in Monaco the next morning. The streets buzzed with excitement as thousands of Formula One fans arrived for the most famous race of the year. Racing cars roared through practice sessions while people cheered and took pictures. Emma felt sick knowing that all these happy fans had no idea they were watching a sport controlled by criminals. "Emma, you can't go to that meeting with Moreau," Dr. Chen said. "It's obviously a trap." "I know it's a trap," Emma replied. "But it's also our only chance to see how they control modern races. If I can record evidence of them fixing the Monaco Grand Prix, we'll have proof that the conspiracy is still active." Maria looked worried. "What if Moreau realizes you're not really cooperating? What if he tries to hurt you?" Emma had thought about this all night. "That's why I need you both to be ready to release all our evidence immediately if something happens to me. Every document, every recording, every photograph. It all goes public if I don't check in with you every 2 hours." Emma showed them a special app on her phone. "I've uploaded everything to cloud servers that will automatically send our evidence to 20 different news organizations around the world if I don't enter a password every 120 minutes. Dr. Chen smiled sadly. "Your father would be proud of how brave you've become." That evening, Emma arrived at the Monaco paddock, wearing the special access credentials Moreau had provided. She also wore a tiny hidden camera and microphone that Maria had helped her obtain from a journalist friend. The Monaco Grand Prix paddock was like a small city filled with team garages, hospitality areas, and media centers. Expensive cars and boats filled the harbor, while celebrities and rich business people watched practice sessions from private balconies. Emma walked through the paddock trying to look casual, while her heart pounded. She noticed strange things that regular fans would never see. Certain mechanics worked on cars in areas blocked from television cameras. Team radio communications included coded messages that didn't seem related to racing. Some crew members looked more like security guards than racing technicians. Emma watched as Moreau moved through the paddock like a king. Team principals, drivers, and even Monaco government officials treated him with unusual respect. Or was it fear? During the evening practice session, Emma noticed that some cars performed very differently than expected. Cars that had been fast in morning practice suddenly had mysterious problems. Other cars that struggled earlier were suddenly much faster. Emma used her hidden camera to record everything while pretending to be a normal VIP guest. After practice ended, Moreau approached Emma with a satisfied smile. "Are you enjoying your first look behind the scenes of modern Formula One?" "It's very interesting," Emma said carefully. "Some things seem unexpected. Tonight you'll see much more. I'm taking you somewhere special, where you'll understand exactly how we ensure the right outcomes." Moreau led Emma to Monaco's harbor, where a huge luxury yacht was anchored. The boat was bigger than most people's houses and probably cost millions of euros. "Welcome to the real control center of Formula One," Moreau said as they boarded the yacht. Inside, Emma couldn't believe what she saw. One room was filled with computer monitors showing data from every Formula One car in real time. Technicians in headsets watched engine temperatures, fuel levels, tire pressure, and dozens of other measurements. "This is how we control race outcomes," Moreau explained proudly. "We can see exactly how fast each car is capable of performing. When we need a specific driver to win or lose, we make small adjustments to their car's systems remotely." Emma watched, in horror, as technicians made tiny changes to engine power and fuel flow rates. They could make any car slightly faster or slower without the driver knowing anything was wrong. "The drivers think they're competing fairly," Moreau continued. "But we determine the winner before each race begins based on our business needs." Emma saw computer screens showing betting operations placing millions of dollars on race outcomes they had already decided. "You make money by gambling on races you control?" "Gambling profits are much larger than television money or sponsorship deals," Moreau admitted. "We make more money from betting than the teams make from winning races." Emma also learned about drivers who had been threatened or blackmailed into following orders. Some of today's biggest stars were forced to lose races or faced harm to their families. "What happens to drivers who refuse to cooperate?" Emma asked, even though she was afraid of the answer. Moreau's expression became cold and dangerous. "They have accidents, sometimes during races when their cars mysteriously fail. Sometimes in their personal lives when they crash their road cars or have other unfortunate incidents." Emma realized that several driver deaths over recent years might not have been accidents. Her hidden camera captured everything, but she needed to survive long enough to share the evidence. The next day, during qualifying, Emma watched the manipulation happen in real time from Moreau's yacht. A driver who had been fastest in practice suddenly developed engine problems during his most important qualifying lap. Another driver achieved an impossibly perfect lap time that put him on pole position. Emma recognized the same patterns from her father's championship year in 1994. Certain drivers had mysterious good luck, while others faced unexplained mechanical problems. "Tomorrow's race will be very exciting," Moreau told Emma. "We've arranged for several dramatic moments that will keep the television audience entertained." Emma felt sick knowing that what fans thought was genuine racing drama was actually carefully scripted entertainment. But Emma also noticed something Moreau didn't expect. Some younger drivers and mechanics were starting to ask questions about the strange occurrences. A few team members whispered to each other about cars performing differently than their data predicted. Some people in the paddock seemed confused about car performance, Emma mentioned to Moreau. Moreau frowned. "The younger generation asks too many questions. We're working on solutions to that problem." Emma understood this was a threat. Young drivers and mechanics who got suspicious were going to be handled just like Senna had been. After qualifying ended, Emma met secretly with Dr. Chen and Maria at a small restaurant away from the harbor. They reviewed the recorded evidence and realized they had enough proof to expose the entire ongoing conspiracy. "We have video of them controlling car performance remotely," Maria said excitedly. "We have Moreau admitting to murder and race fixing. This is enough to destroy their entire organization." But Dr. Chen looked worried. "Emma, you've been gone for almost 6 hours. Moreau must suspect something by now." Emma checked her phone and saw 3 missed calls from Moreau's number. As they made plans to release the evidence, Emma's phone rang again. "Miss Castellano, where are you?" Moreau's voice sounded angry and suspicious. "We had dinner plans to discuss your future cooperation." Emma tried to sound normal. "I'm sorry, Mr. Moreau. I felt sick and went back to my hotel to rest." "I see. Well, tomorrow's race will be very educational for you. Make sure you're in the paddock early so you can see how we handle unexpected problems." The phone went dead. Emma looked at her friends with fear in her eyes. "He knows I'm not really cooperating. Tomorrow's race isn't just going to be about fixing the winner. It's going to be about eliminating me." Maria grabbed Emma's hand. "Then we release everything. Tonight. Right now, before they can stop us." But as they prepared to upload all their evidence to news organizations around the world, they realized they were being watched. Through the restaurant window, Emma saw the same black cars that had been following them for days. "They're not going to let us leave," Dr. Chen whispered. Emma realized tomorrow's Monaco Grand Prix would be more than just a race. It would be her last chance to expose 30 years of corruption before the same people who killed Senna silenced her forever. Race day at Monaco arrived with perfect blue skies and warm sunshine. Hundreds of thousands of fans filled the streets, waving flags and wearing team colors. The harbor sparkled with expensive boats, while helicopters circled overhead filming the excitement. Emma looked out her hotel window at all the happy people below. They had no idea they were about to witness the biggest scandal in sports history. At 7 a.m., Emma met Dr. Chen and Maria in the hotel's basement parking garage. They had escaped the restaurant the night before through a kitchen exit, while the men in black cars waited outside. "Emma, we've uploaded everything to secure servers," Maria said. "If anything happens to us today, the evidence will be released automatically to 50 news organizations worldwide." Dr. Chen handed Emma a special earpiece. "We'll be monitoring police radios and Formula One communications. If we hear anything dangerous, we'll warn you immediately." Emma's plan was simple, but risky. She would return to Moreau's yacht during the race and try to record him giving orders to fix the race outcome. With live video evidence of race manipulation, even Moreau's powerful friends couldn't deny the conspiracy. But Emma also knew Moreau was suspicious. If he realized she was still investigating, he would make sure she disappeared just like her father and Senna. Emma arrived at the Monaco paddock wearing her VIP credentials. The atmosphere was electric as teams made final preparations for the most prestigious race in Formula One. Drivers signed autographs for excited children, while mechanics checked every bolt and wire on the racing cars. Emma felt sad knowing that much of what fans saw as genuine competition was actually scripted entertainment controlled by criminals. As she walked toward the harbor, Emma noticed more security guards than usual. Some wore official Monaco police uniforms, but others looked like private security working for Moreau. On Moreau's yacht, Emma found him watching qualifying results on multiple screens while talking on an encrypted phone. "Ah, Miss Castellano," Moreau said with a cold smile. "I was beginning to think you had decided not to join us for today's educational experience. Emma tried to act normal despite her racing heart. I wouldn't miss seeing how modern Formula E1 really works. Moreau led her to the yacht's control room where technicians were already preparing to manipulate the race. Computer screens showed detailed data about every car's performance capabilities. Today's race will be particularly interesting, Moreau explained. We need the championship leader to have problems so his main rival can win. This will make the season finale more exciting for television audiences. Emma watched in horror as technicians prepared to sabotage the car of Max Verstappen, who was leading the championship. They planned to cause engine problems that would force him to retire from the race. Isn't that dangerous? Emma asked. What if he crashes because of the engine failure? Moreau shrugged. Racing is always dangerous. Sometimes drivers get hurt. That's part of the entertainment value. Emma realized Moreau was willing to seriously injure or kill current drivers just to create exciting television and profitable gambling opportunities. As the race began, Emma used her hidden camera to record everything. The technicians followed a detailed script, causing specific problems for certain drivers at predetermined times. On lap 15, they caused a tire puncture for one driver. On lap 28, they created fuel system problems for another. Every random mechanical failure was actually carefully planned. Emma watched the race on television monitors while recording the criminal activity happening around her. Fans around the world were cheering for what they thought was genuine racing drama, not knowing they were watching a scripted show. But then, something unexpected happened. During a live television interview, one young driver named Carlos Sainz made a comment that caught everyone's attention. My car is performing very differently today than in practice, Sainz told the interviewer. The engine feels like someone else is controlling it remotely. Emma saw Moreau's face turn angry. That driver is becoming a problem. We need to arrange an accident for him. Emma's blood felt cold. They were planning to hurt Sainz during the race for asking too many questions. What kind of accident? Emma asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Turn 7 is very fast and dangerous, Moreau explained. If his brakes fail there, he'll hit the barrier hard enough to discourage other drivers from making similar comments. Emma realized she had to do something immediately to save Sainz's life. But if she warned anyone, Moreau would know she was working against him. Emma excused herself to use the bathroom, but instead she called Dr. Chen using her hidden phone. They're going to crash Carlos Sainz at turn 7, Emma whispered urgently. You have to warn someone immediately. Dr. Chen contacted a journalist friend who had connections with Formula One race control. Within minutes, Sainz's team received an urgent radio message telling him to return to the pits for a safety check. Back in the yacht's control room, Moreau watched angrily as Sainz pulled into the pits instead of continuing toward the dangerous turn 7. Someone warned him, Moreau said, looking directly at Emma. Miss Castellano, I think you've been lying to me about your intentions. Emma's heart pounded as Moreau's security guards moved to block the exits. She was trapped on the yacht with nowhere to run. I don't know what you mean, Emma said, trying to sound confused. Moreau pulled out a tablet computer and showed Emma security footage from the previous night. The video showed her meeting with Dr. Chen and Maria at the restaurant. We've been watching you and your friends for days, Moreau said coldly. Did you really think you could outsmart an organization that has controlled Formula One for 30 years? Emma realized there was no point in pretending anymore. I know you killed Ayrton Senna. I have proof of everything you've done. Moreau laughed. Proof that will die with you. Just like your father's evidence died with him when we poisoned his cancer medication. Emma felt sick learning that her father's death wasn't from natural cancer. They had murdered him too. Your father thought he was clever. secretly working with law enforcement, Moreau continued. But we discovered his cooperation and eliminated him before he could testify. Emma's hidden camera had recorded Moreau admitting to multiple murders. If she could somehow survive and escape, this evidence would destroy the entire conspiracy. But Moreau had other plans. Miss Castellano, you're going to have a tragic accident during today's race. You'll fall from this yacht and drown in Monaco harbor. Very sad. But these things happen during exciting race weekends. Emma looked around desperately for a way to escape. The yacht was surrounded by water, and Moreau's guards blocked every exit. Then Emma remembered something Dr. Chen had told her. She pressed a hidden button on her phone that would immediately upload all recorded evidence to news organizations around the world. It's too late, Moreau, Emma said. Everything you just admitted is already being broadcast live on the internet. Moreau's face went white as he realized Emma had been streaming their entire conversation to social media platforms. Millions of people had just watched him admit to murdering Senna, her father, and planning to kill current drivers. "You stupid girl!" Moreau shouted. "You have no idea what you've done!" But it was too late for Moreau. Police boats were already surrounding his yacht as news of Emma's live stream spread around the world. The Monaco Grand Prix was stopped as authorities moved to arrest everyone involved in the conspiracy. Emma had done it. After 30 years, Ayrton Senna's real killers were finally exposed, but the victory came at a terrible cost. Emma had learned that her beloved father was poisoned to death for trying to do the right thing. As police led Moreau away in handcuffs, Emma thought about her father's last words. He had given her the choice he never had, the choice to tell the truth, no matter how dangerous it was. Emma had chosen truth over safety, and now the whole world would know what really happened at Imola in 1994. Within minutes of Emma's live stream ending, her video had been viewed over 10 million times. Social media exploded with reactions as Formula One fans around the world watched Moreau admit to murdering Ayrton Senna. But Emma's victory felt empty. As police boats surrounded Moreau's yacht, she learned that Dr. Chen and Maria had been found, dead in their hotel room. The news reported it as a gas leak accident, but Emma knew they had been murdered to silence them. Emma sat alone in a Monaco police station, giving her statement to investigators. Through the window, she could see protesters gathering in the streets. Some carried signs demanding justice for Senna. Others blamed Emma for destroying their favorite sport. "Miss Castellano," Detective Laurent Dubois said as he reviewed her evidence. "What you've uncovered is the largest sports conspiracy in history. This will take years to fully investigate." Emma felt exhausted and heartbroken. "I just wanted people to know the truth about what happened to Ayrton. I never meant for my friends to die." Detective Dubois sat down across from Emma. "Your friends died as heroes. Because of their sacrifice and your courage, we can finally give justice to Ayrton, Senna, and many other victims." Over the next few hours, Emma watched the story spread across every news channel in the world. Her recording of Moreau's confessions played repeatedly as reporters tried to explain the shocking revelations. Formula One officials immediately suspended the current season while governments began criminal investigations. The European Union announced a formal inquiry into the sport's business practices. The FBI opened cases about American companies' involvement in the conspiracy. But Emma also faced criticism and danger. She received thousands of angry messages from fans who blamed her for ruining Formula One. Some threatened to hurt her for destroying their heroes' legacies. "You've made a lot of enemies," Detective Dubois warned her. The people Moreau worked for are still free. They'll want revenge for what you've done to their business. Emma was placed in protective custody while investigators worked to arrest other members of the criminal organization. From her safe house, she watched the Formula One world collapse and rebuild itself. Several current drivers came forward to support Emma's revelations. Markus Weber, the young German driver, held a press conference admitting he had been forced to lose races. Emma Castellano is a hero, Weber told reporters. She exposed the criminals who have been threatening drivers and fixing races for 30 years. Every real racing fan should thank her. But other drivers stayed silent or denied knowing about any manipulation. Some teams fired employees who spoke out about suspicious activities they had witnessed. Emma learned that the conspiracy had affected almost every Formula One season since 1994. Championship results, individual race winners, and even safety decisions had been influenced by the criminal organization. The evidence Emma provided led to shocking discoveries. Investigators found that Michael Schumacher's early dominance, Lewis Hamilton's first championship, and Sebastian Vettel's 4 titles had all been influenced by race manipulation. Not every result was fake, Emma explained to a television interviewer. The best drivers still won most of the time because real talent is hard to fake. But in close seasons, or when gambling money was involved, the criminals decided who became champion. The scandal grew bigger when police raided Moreau's yacht and found computers with detailed records of race fixing going back decades. They also discovered betting records showing the organization had made over $2 billion from fixed races. Emma's investigation revealed something even more disturbing: a list of 23 people who had been murdered between 1994 and 2024 for threatening to expose the conspiracy. The list included young drivers who died in testing accidents, experienced racers who had fatal road crashes, and mechanics who died in suspicious workplace incidents. Emma realized Senna was just the most famous victim of a systematic killing program. 23 people died to protect this secret, Emma told prosecutors. Every one of them was murdered because they asked too many questions or got too close to the truth. Emma also discovered that her father had tried multiple times to expose the conspiracy before his death. He contacted journalists, police, and racing officials, but was always threatened back into silence. The evidence showed that Marco Castellano spent his final years secretly working with law enforcement agencies to build a case against the criminal organization. His decision to tell Emma the truth was his last attempt to ensure the evidence wouldn't die with him. "My father was a hero," Emma said during a memorial service for him, Dr. Chen and Maria. "He lived with terrible guilt for 30 years, but he never stopped trying to make things right." Formula One's current season remained suspended as investigators examined every team, every contract, and every race result from the past 3 decades. Several team principals were arrested, and 2 major racing organizations faced criminal charges. But the biggest shock came when Emma revealed information about the ultimate leader of the conspiracy, the person who had actually ordered Senna's death in 1994. From her father's hidden documents, Emma learned that the criminal organization was controlled by 3 families who had dominated international organized crime for over 50 years. Formula One was just one of many businesses. They used to hide illegal activities. The man who gave the final order to kill Ayrton Senna was still alive, still powerful, and still controlling world events from the shadows. His identity would shock everyone who learned it. Emma prepared to reveal this final, most dangerous secret, but she also knew that exposing the ultimate truth might cost her own life. As Chapter 9 ended, Emma received a mysterious phone call from someone claiming to have information about who really ordered Senna's death. Miss Castellano, there are things about this conspiracy that even your father didn't know. Meet me tomorrow if you want to learn who was really in charge. But be warned, this knowledge is more dangerous than anything you've discovered so far. Emma realized her investigation was far from over. The most powerful criminals were still free, and the deepest secrets of the conspiracy remained hidden. But she had come too far to stop now. Emma was going to expose every last truth about Ayrton Senna's murder, no matter how dangerous it became. The 30-year cover-up was finally cracking, but the most shocking revelations were still to come. Emma met the mysterious caller at a small chapel in the French Alps, far from media attention and police investigations. She was shocked to see Paulo Mendes, her father's former teammate, who was supposed to have died in a crash at Silverstone in 2009. Paulo, but you're dead. I went to your funeral 15 years ago. Paulo, now with gray hair and wearing simple clothes, looked much older than Emma remembered. I had to fake my death to escape the same people who killed Senna. When I learned too much about who really controlled the organization, they tried to kill me. I staged my own crash and have been hiding ever since. Emma's hands shook as Paulo explained how he had been living under a false name in a small mountain village, afraid to contact anyone from his old life. I've been watching your investigation from afar, Paulo said. You've been incredibly brave, but there are things about this conspiracy that even your father didn't know. Paulo revealed the shocking truth that Emma had been searching for. The criminal organization controlling Formula One was run by 3 families who had controlled international organized crime for over 50 years. It's not just about racing, money, or even gambling profits, Paulo explained. Formula One was their way to wash billions of dollars from drugs, weapons sales, and human trafficking. The racing was just a cover for a massive criminal empire that reaches into governments, banks, and businesses around the world. Emma learned that Ayrton Senna had discovered this connection accidentally while investigating the tire cheating scandal. Senna found financial records showing Formula One teams receiving money from known criminal organizations. Senna wasn't just going to expose race fixing, Paulo continued. He was going to reveal the entire criminal network to Interpol and the FBI. That's why they had to kill him. Paulo showed Emma documents he had been hiding for 15 years. The papers proved that current world leaders, business executives, and even law enforcement officials had been receiving payments from the criminal families. The corruption goes all the way to the top of governments, Paulo warned. That's why your investigation has been so dangerous. You're not just threatening a racing scandal, you're threatening people who control countries. Emma realized why Dr. Chen and Maria had been killed so quickly. The criminals knew Emma's evidence could expose their entire global operation, not just Formula One corruption. Paulo also revealed the heartbreaking truth about Emma's father that made her cry. Marco Castellano wasn't just a victim of the conspiracy. He had been secretly working as an undercover agent for law enforcement. Your father spent the last 10 years of his life gathering evidence, Paulo explained. He was working with the FBI, Interpol, and European police to build a case against the entire criminal network. Emma learned that her father's championship in 1994 was part of his cover story. The criminals trusted him because they thought he was fully cooperating with them, but he was actually documenting every crime they committed. Every meeting, every payment, every threat. Your father recorded everything in secret. The documents he left you are just a small part of the evidence he collected. Paulo led Emma to a hidden storage facility in the mountains where her father had been keeping evidence for years. Inside, Emma found thousands of documents, photographs, and recordings that proved the criminal organization's control over Formula One and dozens of other businesses. Emma discovered recordings of her father secretly meeting with FBI agents and Interpol investigators. He had been working as their most important source of information about organized crime's involvement in international sports. "Your father was a hero," Paolo told her. "He risked everything to protect Formula One and expose the criminals who were using it. But they discovered his cooperation with law enforcement and decided to eliminate him." The most shocking revelation was how her father actually died. The T.I.T. documents proved that Marco Castellano's cancer was caused by a slow-acting poison that mimicked natural illness symptoms. "They poisoned him slowly over 2 years," Paolo said sadly. "Your father knew he was being murdered, but he used his remaining time to prepare all this evidence for you to find." The storage facility also contained evidence about other sports and businesses controlled by the criminal families. They had been fixing outcomes and laundering money through soccer, basketball, tennis, horse racing, and even Olympic competitions. Emma realized her investigation had uncovered one of the largest criminal conspiracies in human history. The evidence could bring down governments and destroy criminal organizations that had operated secretly for decades. But Paolo warned her about the ultimate danger. "These people have assassinated presidents, judges, and police chiefs to protect their secrets. They won't hesitate to kill you, your family, and anyone who helps you." Emma made the hardest decision of her life. She chose to release all the evidence simultaneously to law enforcement agencies, news organizations, and social media platforms around the world. "If they kill me, the truth dies with me," Emma explained. "But if millions of people see the evidence at once, they can't stop all of it." Paolo helped Emma upload everything to secure servers and schedule automatic releases to hundreds of recipients worldwide. In 24 hours, the evidence would be published whether Emma was alive or dead. As they finished their preparations, Emma asked Paolo the question that had been haunting her since her investigation began: who actually gave the final order to kill Senna? Who was really in charge? Paolo's answer shocked Emma more than anything else she had learned. The ultimate truth was more devastating than she could have imagined. It was someone who publicly acted like he loved Senna, but secretly saw him as a threat to his family's criminal empire. Someone who attended every memorial service and tribute event, pretending to mourn Senna's death while knowing he had ordered the murder. Paolo showed Emma a photograph that made her sick to her stomach. It showed the man who ordered Ayrton Senna's death. Someone still alive, still powerful, and still controlling world events. The man who killed your hero has been hiding in plain sight for 30 years, Paolo said. He built monuments to Senna's memory while knowing he was responsible for his death. Emma stared at the photograph, finally understanding the full scope of the conspiracy. The person who ordered Senna's murder was someone the racing world had trusted and respected for decades. But now, finally, after 30 years of lies and cover-ups, Ayrton Senna's real killer would be exposed. Emma's promise to reveal the truth that changes everything was about to be completely fulfilled. The evidence would destroy the criminal organization, free Formula One from corruption, and give justice to Senna's memory. But Emma knew the cost had been enormous. Her father, her friends, and 23 other innocent people had died to make this moment possible. As Emma prepared for the evidence release that would change the world, she thought about Senna racing at Imola 30 years ago, not knowing he was driving toward a carefully planned death. Tomorrow, everything would change. The 30-year cover-up would end, Senna's killer would be revealed, and the world would finally know that their hero died fighting corruption, not losing control of his racing car. The biggest secret in sports history was about to be exposed, and nothing would ever be the same. We'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and tell us your city or country. It's amazing to connect with viewers from all around the world. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for many more fascinating and eye-opening stories like this one. Your support means everything to us and helps us bring you the most engaging content. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family too. Stories like Emma's remind us how important it is to seek truth and stand up for what's right, no matter how difficult it might be. By sharing, you're helping spread both kindness and awareness to others who might need to hear Emma's message of courage. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey, and we'll see you in the next story.